I'd like to call to order the March 21st meeting of the Batavia Park Board of Commissioners at 7 o'clock. Allison, please call the roll.
Yes.
Here.
Riley.
Here.
Connolly. Here. Tillman.
Here.
Gray. Here. Callahan.
Here. Please stand for the pledge.
Couldn't be better.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Any items to be added, removed, or changed on the agenda?
Yes, I would like to remove 11B, award of contract for tennis court color coding at South Mill Creek Community Park and Prairie Lake Park.
Okay.
You table it for next month. I put the rationale in an email.
Yep.
For it on Friday.
Very good. Thank you. Any other changes?
No.
Okay, very good. Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda, so I would entertain a motion to establish the consent agenda as follows. Approval of the meeting minutes of the regular board meeting of February 21st, 2023. Approval of the paid expenditures, approval of the expense, approval report, approval of the investment summary, approval of the income statement, approval of purchases, and the approval of change order number 1 for park maintenance services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. Any further discussion? Allison, please call the roll.
Sure. Tillman.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Riley.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye, motion carries. So I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as established.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is guest matters from the public. Do we have anybody wishing to address us this evening? Seeing none, we will move on to matters of the commissioners. Any commissioners want to make any comments tonight or say anything nice?
Wait, that's only nice?
Well, you know,
You said comments first and then nice. Can comments not be nice?
it depends.
Okay, I don't have anything. I'm just trying to clarify for everybody else.
I thoroughly enjoyed using the gym for our hockey party. There was a lot of action. Thank you very much. Good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right, very good. Next item on the agenda is staff reports. Allison?
All right, we're going to start with our Director of Finance, Brent Strumpf. You're up to bat.
We're continuing to prepare for the 2022 financial statement audit. Final field work is scheduled for April 24th to April 28th. And then also the initial test holes were drilled at the Hall Quarry Beach in preparation of the fiber installation, and construction's anticipated to start in early April for that. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention that the December CPI change for the 2023 property tax levy extension was announced, and the CPI change from December 2022 to December 2021 was 6.5%. So once again, in a few months when we're considering the property tax levy, we'll be at that PTEL extension limit of 5% for the second straight year, just because of how high inflation has been. And then lastly, Kaylee Hubbs, our AP and payroll coordinator, is here, and she's just going to introduce herself to the board.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Hubbs. My role here is the AP and payroll coordinator. I grew up in St. Charles, but I currently live in Virgil. I went to Aurora University where I studied criminal justice and got my minor in psychology. My previous role was at Head of Financial Services as customer service support team lead. There I trained newcomers within the support task. I released titles. I was a loan representative. I processed parking tickets as well as refunds, and I worked on any special projects that we had. The thing I enjoyed most so far working here has been learning all the new different processes, as well as being able to work the different events like Thanks by the Pond and the Nightmare at West Main.
Thank Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for the opportunity to work here.
It's a very unique job, and we're very happy to have you.
Welcome.
You get to do the walk.
Nice to meet you again.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Great job.
All of a sudden, oh, they have the rookie laugh. I like that.
That like gives me like, my heart's going like.
I would like to mention, Brent did leave one item off of his report. He's pretty humble. There are 4 tests that you have to go through if you're applying to be a CPA, and he's successfully passed all 4. Now he has to just apply for the actual CPA title with his test scores, but I just want to commend him because how impressive
Well
is that?
done.
We've never had a CPA on staff, or a potential CPA.
Very good.
Good job.
Thank you.
So apply.
Working on it.
Congratulations, and we're happy to have you stay.
Yeah,
Right.
stay. Stay.
Just for the record, want to make sure it's on the record.
You have your pet.
It's in the bylaws of the park district. As soon as he gets a CPA, he has worked it for 5 years.
Congratulations. Thank you. That's a big accomplishment.
All right, next up, we have our Director of Talent and Culture.
So just really quick, after approval of our new HRIS system last month, Brett and I already did the kickoff meeting with Paycor last week. We're on track with our timeline. Tomorrow we have our first meeting for 2 hours to export our data into the new system. We're doing payroll first, so we're excited about that. We completed our annual safety training with all the employees on February 24th. In person, the safety committee did it through a scavenger hunt. They really interactive, they really enjoyed it. We got a lot of great feedback on it and met all the requirements for the year. And just to recap, we did receive that $1,000 wellness grant from Paderma. I wasn't sure if I mentioned that last month, but that's going to continue to fund our lunchtime fitness program that we have for the employees.
Awesome.
So,
Only Lynn and Josh can make safety fun.
oh, yeah.
I have a question for you. I know we had a couple people leave. Will you be doing exit interviews with them?
I did them already.
Okay, great.
Yep,
Is that something
every-
you can share with us then, or how does that work?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I always do it usually the day or 2 before they leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right, next up, Director of Facilities, Josh Wyant.
So we're right in the transition period from winter to spring here. It's right around the corner, so we're wrapping up all of our equipment, winter servicing, getting ready for the mowing season, which also means that the quarry season is right around the corner. So trades crew started this week down at the quarry, starting to prep and get everything rolling. So we have a tentative fill date for the quarry of April 24th. So yeah, we're excited to get everything rolling down there. So,
All right, last but certainly not least, Director of Community Recreation, Brittany Meyer.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Allison. The rec team's focusing on summer. Lots of summer stuff going on. Our softball, we have 210 girls signed up for our league, so we're very excited about that. 6U through 14U. So that will start in the next couple weeks with practices. We are very lucky to hire 2 rec interns this summer. They'll be shadowing in each department and kind of getting the lay of the land of everyone's areas, which we're excited about. More help for our special events and kind of our busy summer. We're adding some things back and some new classes. We're adding some art classes with an artist from Water Street for both kids and adults. We'll be doing sip and wine classes and art classes for kids. And then one new thing we're bringing back is a 5K race at Windmill City Fest. Yeah.
Great.
It's funny because when you read in the packet here, one of the candidates for the park board is talking about how they want to make sure that the softball expands, and I'm like, I read this, I'm like, done already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brittany, I do have a question about that. Like, last year, we had a lot of trouble getting umpires. So I'm wondering, and you did a great job getting lifeguards last year. Do you have any special plans to get some umps?
Yeah, we did struggle a little bit. We actually have reached out to some areas nearby and actually have another company too that we've looked at to help maybe work with 2 this year to make sure we're getting that quality and enough. So
And I know it's across the board.
For
It's
sure.
Like just one of those, because you got ahead of it with the lifeguards, so.
Definitely. So yeah, we're going to be working with 2 just to make sure we have enough, they're there, and that they're, good. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. That leads us to Executive Director's Report.
Yes. All right, so it's right in front of me. I'm going to sit rather than stand, sit on the clicker, so. All right, we had 2 visitors at our spring exhibit.
I love that.
I was like, wait, that's 4 people.
Which one is the dumbest?
I know, right? Well, the real Tara Gray, please stand up. So it was great. You know, we love it when commissioners attend our events and our previews. So thank you, Commissioners Connolly and Gray, for attending. And yeah, it's fun, the photo Instagram post. So for those of you watching at home, the Depot Museum has a brand new exhibit up. It's called The Women Who Built Batavia. So you can learn all about the history of women in Batavia and even what they wore. But as you can see, Molly and Tara are standing in front of actual dresses that were worn back in that era.
By the little itty bitty women.
Right, yes. They just don't make us like we used to. Also, this is really exciting to announce. Gail Gabota, who was at last month's Park Board meeting, she's our strategic communications specialist for the district. She was a mentor to 2 Batavia High School students who came in first place for the 2023 Valley's Graphic Communications Student of the Year competition. So we beat out Caneland and St. Charles, Geneva High Schools, and with Gail's help, with her, she's a brilliant genius when it comes to graphic design, her mentorship for these students really helped them. As you can see from the photo, it's actually, the challenge was to create a unique brand and graphic identity for a record store. And this is what they came up with.
That's awesome.
It was in the newsletter for the schools, so.
Oh, good. And then, exciting adventures ahead. So the Batavia Park District offers not just 1, but 4 egg hunts. The doggy egg hunt, April 1st, the kitty egg hunt. Kid-y, not kitty. Doggy egg hunt, kitty egg hunt. The Egg Dash, which is a spin-off of DoorDash, but Egg Dash brought to your house as a scavenger hunt, Chuck the Duck. And there's also a flashlight tween hunt. So we definitely keep everybody's baskets full this time of the year, and we're really proud to be the recreation provider for these events. We're also already gearing up for Windmill City Festival this year. We've been in contact with the police department. They'd like us to continue safety checks having bag checks at the areas, keep things airtight in terms of safety. So yeah, we're going to be meeting with the city shortly and just making sure that we've got all of our I's dotted and T's crossed with the new staff members we have. And we're just excited to continue this planning process. So, this is our planning time of the year, so noses to the grindstone. Josh and the facilities department are actually knee-deep in the quarry. They'll be replacing the grate that you see over this hole here. And just a reminder for those at home, it's not a suction grate. It's actually just a water filtration grate. So, yep.
It's not a pool.
That's right.
It's just gravity.
That's right. It's a chlorinated body of water, but definitely not a pool. And that is a wrap for now.
Awesome. Great updates. Thank you all.
One more. Where's Kim?
Medical leave.
She's missed.
She's still, yeah, she's doing
And
what
I
she can.
appreciate them because I was wondering if you could cut my bushes. Now I know.
All right. So next agenda item is 11A, discussion of land use agreement for Main Street with the city of Batavia. Who wants to
I'd
take
like
this
to
one?
introduce to the board Rehat Berry. Rehat.
Rahat. But I'm not CK about my name. So. First of all, thank you for letting me come and talk to you all. I really appreciate that. My name is Rahat Bari. I'm the city engineer for City of Batavia. I should mention that I love the energy here, it's like so fun. So
Come back anytime.
Your fun is our business.
I'd like to come back, but I do a lot of night meetings that, try to not to take away time from family. But I just came back actually from St. Louis. I went to a Prairie State meeting. You probably all know that. We are part owner of the Prairie State, so we have the management meeting. So I left yesterday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, came back this afternoon. So it's been fun for the last couple of days. So I'm here actually to talk about a project that the city is undertaking. We call it Main Street Reconstruction Project. You have seen a few years back, like in 2020, 2021, we reconstructed Main Street from Route 31 to Van Northwick. This is the next phase of that project. It's from Van Northwick to Randall Road. We applied for some federal funding. We have received funding for that. So it's just a continuation of that. So the project, it's almost similar to the one that we just completed. There will be little change from the project that we completed. The change is like this is the top picture is showing what's the current configuration. It looks like it has one lane in each direction, and it has sidewalk on the north side of the street. Currently, there is no sidewalk on the south side of the street, from Van Northwick going all the way to Randall.
Yes.
So on the school side, there is sidewalk, but by the park and all that, so nothing really connects the Engstrom Park out there. There is no sidewalk going to the park from Main Street. So if you live on the Main Street, you'll have to walk on the north side and cross at the school. Definitely no bike path going to the park right now. We presented a concept to the city council, but they picked the one that is shown on the bottom of the picture. The city council directed us that we install dedicated bike path next to the vehicles. Like the portion that we just completed, that has what we call a shared bike path. So it's a wider lane. You can ride next to the car, but the city council expressed interest that we should have dedicated bike lane, like the way we did it on Prairie Street. Prairie Street has 4 feet bike lane on both sides. In most cases, residents don't like this option because this take away your ability to park on the street. So you cannot park on top of the bike lane anymore. But there are not really many driveways on this part of Main Street anyway. So city council told us that we should really install bike path on the road, 4 feet dedicated bike lane. And also they directed us that we should have sidewalk on both sides. You may be aware that city has adopted a policy back in 2021, what we call it is a complete street policy. That means you will accommodate pedestrians, bicyclists, and also the cars. It's not only for cars, you should have everybody as accommodation there. So city council directed us to go with this design, which is sidewalk on both sides and 10 feet lane with 4 feet bike path on both sides. So when we looked at it, no, that's okay. You can.
Can I just ask one interruption?
Yeah.
So we're talking about Main Street, though?
Yeah, we're talking about Main
Middle
Street.
got Middle Street.
Yeah, I got it.
So from Van Northwick to all the way to Randall.
Got it.
So that was the alternative that the city council directed us to work with. So this is our next step, what it's going to look like. We are going to present the alternative the city council has chosen to the public. We'll invite everybody, that includes all the residents in the city. We'll get some feedback from the residents, we'll see whether everybody likes that alternative or somebody has some other comments. We then take all that comments and the alternative to the FHWA and IDOT, because it's partially funded by federal government, and state of Illinois administers that funding. And then we'll finalize the preliminary engineering study sometimes early next year, we'll also have to have a public information meeting or public hearing. That's part of the federal process, and move into our design engineering and construction, hopefully in 2025. So that's our plan. So you may ask why I'm here, okay, this is great. So I'm here because Park District has a part to play in this. So when the City Council is directing us that we should have sidewalk, because they have a strong desire that all the residents should be able to walk or bike to the some of the destinations that is along this route. Obviously, one of the biggest destinations that we have is the park, and then obviously the high school. So currently there is about 33 feet of, I would call it now, prescriptive right-of-way on Main Street. So that means from the center of the street to 33 feet south is what city has prescriptive right-of-way now. But when we try to install the sidewalk and accommodate the bike path, we need 10 additional feet. Do you have the ability to zoom in that red area, maybe?
Zoom in on this.
Yeah.
So that's parcel A on this exhibit?
Yes.
Or parcel A?
So it's the whole park. Like, I mean, we are calling that parcel A is the red area. Oops. So if you zoom in only to that, right there. That's the 10 feet. We will need easement from the Park District to install sidewalk, or if we install the sidewalk, to do some putting some seed or sod, to restore that area. So we need that easement from the Park District to accommodate what the City Council wishes us to do. And I'm here to really present that to you, that start at least the discussion or dialogue, and see what the Park District Board thinks about that 10 feet easement. And as I said, I kind of didn't mention it that very, very heavily, but the Main Street, we have done some research. So the Main Street is there, the road is there. We could not find any documentation anywhere saying that there was a dedication made by the Park District of that 33 feet that is north of this line. So it's going to the center line of the street. We could not find anything. I don't know whether the Park District has it somewhere, but typically somebody has it somewhere, but we could not find anything. So we said,
These mysteries happen in Batavia, so you know.
So we said, while we are at it, we'll also prepare documentation to show that the 33 feet from the center of the Main Street, so that's outside this 10 feet, will be dedicated as a right-of-way to the city. So 33 feet, like now we'll have a documentation, we'll save it somewhere so that we can find it in future, So this, it's called prescriptive easement just because the road is there, and it's been there for a long time. So city can claim it that it's ours, but we want to have documentation for that. But this 10 feet, it's showing that it's not impacting the path that you have there. There is a connection. Okay, why we need that 10 feet? Let me explain that a little bit more. So there is a connection that
Can you
goes,
go back, I'm sorry. Can you go back to the cross-section diagrams?
Yeah.
All right, can you explain it using this to make sure we understand exactly what you're referring to?
So this is the sidewalk on the south side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
That sidewalk will be installed within that 10 feet that we are talking about.
The sidewalk.
I really need to see how that sidewalk and the path and anything in between coexist, because it just looks like the path that we have in there is going to get torn up during this construction, and then it's going to be right next to the sidewalk. I mean, within a foot or two from the sidewalk.
Well, I guess I would argue that really the proper solution here would be to somehow integrate the improvement of the sidewalk and the path, so we don't have two things, so we don't have 15 feet of
Because we're getting a bike lane anyway,
That's
right?
that's kind of what my point is that if the sidewalk is going to be so close to the path, I mean, regardless of it, it's going to be within feet, right?
Right.
Then, and during that construction, I'm guessing, you can tell me if I'm wrong, the path is going to have some sort of damage to it because of all the other work that's going to be done within feet of it. So I agree with you. Why not just integrate the two of them together and have the sidewalk come into the path and the path go into the sidewalk for that section of the street? So it doesn't look, I mean, it's not going to look very aesthetically good. Also, it's just going to be weird.
Well, the sidewalk's only 5 feet wide.
I
Two
get
paths
that.
on a sidewalk.
It's only going to be 5 feet wide, but it's going to be, if that section next to the road, is 10 feet, and the sidewalk is 5 feet, there's only going to be 2 feet between that and
No, I
the
get it.
edge. And the edge is going to be where the path is. We're giving up everything. So you're going to have a sidewalk, 2 feet, and a path. That's just function.
Yes, I'm agreeing.
Yes.
No, that's a great suggestion. We can absolutely integrate the existing path. That's not a problem. Then I will need like construction, if you want to call it construction easement or temporary easement
Yeah.
from you to connect to your path and then connect it back out to the end of the property. Absolutely. We can do that. That's a great suggestion.
Because the sidewalk's already going to run over
Yeah, no,
this part.
Are we talking about on this side that's already
Yes,
here, or
yes,
on?
no,
We
you're
don't
right.
own this, this isn't.
no, we're just talking
We're
about
the
That's
English
in front of
side.
Where the
Yes.
soccer fields are, right?
This
Just
is
the
Middleview. This is
entrance.
in front of
Main
Main
Street
Street.
right here. Yeah.
Can you
This
bring
is
up the?
Middleview
That's,
where the
map
church
is
is over
opposite, I
here.
don't look at it this way.
No, this is
I
this
know.
map is exactly what you're showing. Oh, I see.
Yeah, I had to look at Maine being this way and
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just this part, we already talked about this, nothing on this.
Well, that's the next question I'm going to ask, because what is all this?
He hasn't got it.
I'm just, actually, I'm more concerned with this than I am with this.
Well, that's all.
I think aesthetically this is better, but I.
Mostly
I'm more
walking
concerned.
path, or is it part of
It's a
bike?
walking path around the whole,
Okay, so
around the whole park.
Yeah.
Because there's
So
a
as long as
sidewalk.
it's a sidewalk.
There is a sidewalk.
And then there's a bike path
It
on the
connects,
street anyway.
connects to the rest of the path around the park.
Then we don't have to maintain both.
It's got nothing to do with it, just walking.
Yeah, theoretically, if we combine them both, move it from asphalt to concrete.
Let's-
And I was in the impression
let's
it's not even
focus on
going to be
this.
5 feet.
For that section.
I agree.
Need IT support here?
Sorry, yeah, can you,
What happened?
can you please help me get back?
It's a good thing that IT support is here.
Right, because it goes to unincorporated.
And it goes to the church, we still have.
No, it goes to back to a residence, the back. So does this, so there is no continuous sidewalk down Main Street? There's a segment that's unincorporated, or at least,
Yeah, so we'll be getting, like the way we are asking for easement from you, we'll be getting that easement from all the properties that hasn't dedicated to us. We'll be asking them to give us
all the way to Van Norwood.
all the way to Van
All
Norman.
right, here you go.
And then
Your
the
wish is my
sidewalk will
command.
go, so the sidewalk will also go all the way to Randall on north and south side?
Click on the, click on the satellite, lower left, yeah. Zoom in.
So the sidewalk will go all the way to Randall Road on the south side as well?
So except
Moose Heart.
Except Moose Heart.
Moose-Heart.
Oh, yeah, I'm already saying. So you can.
Oh, so that's them for an easement.
You can get an easement from Moose Heart. If you get an easement from Moose Heart, ask us for our 20 acres at the same time.
So obviously we are asking to construct a separate sidewalk so that if you are on that sidewalk, it's a continuous walk for
Sure.
you. Otherwise, you'll have to come in, walk into the Park District path and come back out. If that is what you wish and City Council is okay with that, I mean, as engineers, we don't have any problem with that. But what we figured out that this area, we need to work on this a little bit, but we're gonna keep it within the existing 10 feet that we are asking for. Because it does meet the ADA compatible now, but it is like questionable. So we wanna, and when we are getting federal money, you have to make sure that it is really meeting the criteria.
Yep.
It is like, pretty close, but not all the way, meeting criteria.
But it would make some sense from our perspective to have a more logical parkway there, so it isn't sidewalk, a little bit of grass, a path, more grass, so that we could integrate those two things together, maybe make that sidewalk 10 feet wide and we terminate into it so that it's not a small path, but can be used for our, because we have a lot of people that walk this trail. Tons of people walk this trail.
That also solves a legal issue. So we don't have a problem with the prescriptive easement turning that into a dedication, if that was there. When you got a walk-on grant through IDNR impressed on the property, they won't allow any change or giving up any ownership interest, not even an easement, not even for municipal utilities that are underground that nobody sees. I don't know why they're such hard-nosed about it, but they are. We would have to come up with alternative replacement land for anything we gave, even an easement ownership interest in. So what we would only be able to do is give a 10-foot license to the city for that. Well, if instead of a 10-foot license, you integrate to a better path on our property, we don't have any problems with OSLAD, IDNR, and WACON. But what we can do is give the city a public license for the public to use it as though it were a sidewalk. So we don't have any of the real estate issues. We give them what they need, which is the right to use it, and we'll do the dedication of the prescriptive easement, and that's a piece of cake. But it's a license. OSLAD, for some reason, doesn't care about licenses. So all over the state of Illinois, we have 99-year licenses in favor of a city for whether it's utilities, or in this case, it'd be a public walkway, public right of access, and egress across it. It's already there because it's in the public trust because you own it. But if the city wants that to help pay for the new thing and to integrate it all as part of the project, that's how we can solve it. So doing two things, with your sidewalk is on our path, or with our path on our property, we give you the license in favor of the city for that, and the construction thing, and do the dedication, but probably not an easement for the 10 more feet or something like that.
I'm okay with that. I will make sure that our discussion with IDOT
I'll talk
is
to
going to
Kevin about it, but I mean, that's the work with them.
So in that case, all we'll need is probably construction easement, I would say 5 feet south of that path, so that, and construction easement is only valid for 5 years. It's a temporary
You're
easement.
preaching to the choir.
So only for 5 years, we'll make sure the path is all brand new, at least that portion.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Brand new, we do the ADA improvement on both ends so that when it connects, it's all brand new. And then in 5 years, it typically says that in 5 years it is null and void, but we can do it for even smaller
It's all the
time
same
frame.
thing. So
Yeah.
you call it license work.
Yeah, it's a temporary thing. We can integrate that. That's not a problem at all. I think City Council will be okay with that, given that there is some string attached to all the funding that you have received, and it should be okay.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And-
Makes complete sense.
And there is no reason to have two paths next to each other when
Right,
it's serving the same
right.
purpose.
That's a good idea to combine.
So,
Great. So then the April park board meeting would be when we have the license, once Dirk has a chance to talk to Kevin Drendel.
The only other issue is, do we clear that path now with snow?
Yes, that's our, we would take care of it.
Because under the city ordinance, we have to clear a sidewalk, so, right, so. But if we're not, if you're already clearing, it's all.
Right.
and I believe it's asphalt path, right? It's a blacktop.
It
So
is
it
asphalt.
can stay like that. We just make sure, we might redo that
Well, we'll
portion.
attach design documents
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah, we
So
can
basically, our asphalt path would connect to your new east-west
sidewalk.
sidewalk, yeah, which would be much wider.
We can prepare a
Yeah,
exhibit.
we want the, 10-foot one is great.
Yeah.
Back in 88.
Yeah, right.
That's a creative solution.
Yeah. Board, any objections
No,
to
I'm good.
advancing this?
Good with that.
So we actually had it as a discussion item and not as an approval item because we weren't sure which way the conversation was going to go.
I'm fine. So what we'll do is then, and it's a nitty-gritty detail, we'll provide an exhibit to you, which will show the dedication and also show like a temporary license.
Yeah, I'll work with that.
Yeah, and which will be 5 feet south of that, so that
Anything we're gonna do
any.
about easement, license.
Okay. I mean, and whatever document needs to be prepared, we'll work with you and Kevin and get that to you for April meeting.
Outstanding. Great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Do you have any other question for me?
This is a new parcel that they were talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that's it. I think we're great.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is 11C, Award of Contract for Managed Information Technology Services. Who's taking this one?
All right, so actually, Director of Finance Brent Strumpf has created a recommendation memo in your board packet, and we're recommending ConsultNet.
Yeah, so what's before you is a contract with ConsultNet, who's in the audience tonight. They're based out of St. Charles, and this contract would run through 2024 with an initial term, and then it would include some optional extensions at the end of that. So we did explore the option of hiring an in-house IT specialist, and we actually made an offer to somebody, and they unfortunately had a
Better offer?
better offer that we
Declined.
that we couldn't compete with, and
Yeah, that worked for them.
and ConsultNet's been helping us with IT services since September of last year, and they've been doing an excellent job. I think all staff can attest to that. The response time.
The transition time too with the former.
Yeah.
All those
Yeah.
late night phone calls.
Well, it's been a pain point for us, so we're very glad that there's a recommendation that staff is endorsing. So without further ado, I will entertain a motion to award the contract for Managed Information Technology Services with an initial term ending December 31st, 2024, with 3 one-year extensions to ConsultNet, Inc.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. Any further discussion? Allison, please call the roll.
All right. Tillman.
Aye.
Gray. Aye. Riley.
Aye.
Connolly.
Hi,
Callahan.
Aye, motion carries. Welcome aboard.
thank you.
You do not need to stay.
Have a lot of fun.
Take it personally.
I won't
Unless you
spread
wanna
the
help you on your
conspiracy that
technological
they
views.
sanitized the thing so they could show their value right away.
Get the compliments
Sidewalks and lights. Yeah. Open projectors, it's great.
You are welcome to stay.
They've earned their keep.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so next item on the agenda is 11D, first reading and discussion of the Select Personnel and Governance Policy Manual. I think we have first reading of, Commissioner benefits.
So just a quick update. Just 4 policies, well, 3 from the policy manual, 1 from governance. Number 10 is just changing the in-house programs to unlimited. And this is just to stay consistent with how we have it written in our policy manual. So it's just the unlimited building rentals plus the $30 plus the current hourly rate of building supervisors. So it's just a housekeeping. Some of these changes are just through DA, distinguished accreditation we've been finding them,
Yeah.
as well as recommendations from my exit interviews and things like that. It's just gathering information and kind of combing through our policies to bring them up to par and up to date, since we really haven't been doing that in the past. So that's the first change in the governance manual. The second one goes back to the policy manual, and that's to stay consistent with that one that I just discussed, under building rentals, to make it current hourly rate, taking out the services for childcare since we no longer offer that, and then taking out bullet point 3, and then updating bullet point 5 to be the directive of the customer services relation manager for email for input and employee discount based on contractual percentage, and that would be consulted through the community recreation, director of community recreation. The other change.
Because I was over renting.
Not at all.
I
was just gonna ask because I have
It's like, whose cause is this?
We just want it, so it's unlimited for the employees, so we're going to be consistent with what is on the commissioners. So it's just the consistency.
We've had salary increases too with building supervisors. We needed to just
Yeah, we just need to keep it easy, just keep it easy for, just for
Because I
following.
love the space.
And then,
I feel compelled always when we touch these policies to remind everybody that you serve without compensation. That these benefits are not like with the employees where it's an incentive to try and keep them retained talent. This is given to you so that you may more freely participate in programs. While you serve without compensation, you don't have to go broke serving, right? And one of the ways you check on staff and how to deliver services to the constituents is to partake of them yourselves, to see how the staff delivers a facility for your use, or participate in a program, or audit a program. So that's the rationale. Since it's public and on the agenda, it is probable that certain groups who object to anything for commissioners, from spirit wear to anything, even a holiday party of any kind, and have said so out loud, that anybody who works for the public or is elected to the public should not have a party of any kind because they're lucky to have jobs. That's what they say. They will probably FOIA what all you're getting. That's why I remind everybody, this isn't a compensation in any way. It's simply to facilitate your role as a commissioner, all of these programs. While we may say it's consistent with employees, it's not the same thing where we're trying to keep and retain talent, other sorts of benefits and compensation. This is more of a facilitation.
Thank you, Dirk. That's good clarification.
all right, telework policy. The only change in there is the approval denial of telework. Previously, it was the executive director that had to do every approval for any employee that was requesting it. It now will be going to the department head to make that final decision, and that was just made because telework, when we first introduced it, was just new to everyone. Now that we've been in it, doing it for quite a while, we decided that operationally, it's easier for the department head to decide what works best than having Allison make those decisions on a case by case.
And I used to work with the department heads anyway, so this just takes the onus.
So it'll be a department head recommendation to Allison for approval.
No, the
No,
department
just
head
they
will
make
approve
the-
the employee within their department,
Right.
whether or not
Well,
their
it says
employee.
recommendation of employees, department head, the executive director will make final
That's the
decision.
old one.
That's the old
You
one.
have to go to the
Oh, I'm
red
sorry.
part. Yeah.
That's okay.
There's another-
So the new one just
there's
says the
another
department head will make the
exact
final
copy of
decision
this.
regarding whether a position and/or employee is
There.
approved for telework.
So when you see the switch over on the top, it says new version, but it's in there, so. I have to find it. I have to find what page it's in.
Yeah, proposed policy, this is it.
But the difference is in red, right?
The red.
Yeah.
Yep, the difference is it's just the one line.
Page 45 of the, that's the
There you go.
header.
There you go.
I trust the department heads, if they have an issue with someone teleworking, if they need to talk about that issue, they can go to Lynn or myself, but, I trust them.
I do too. However, this is one of those policies that I think is important to have oversight. These policies are designed to encourage people to do a better job, maintain employees' work-life balance, all the things that go along with it. There are many jobs here at the Park District that are not telework jobs. And so on balance, there's people who can't even attempt at requesting this because their job would never support them being able to do it. So in light of that kind of disposition of the people that can and the people that can't, we don't ever want to put a department head in a position where they feel compelled because there's some personal story or there's some personal relationship or there's some personal circumstance that they may feel that they're making a decision in the best interest of the Park District, but in reality, it's the best interest of the employee. So having some level of oversight on this type of policy, because of its uniqueness, I think is important. I'm not going to tell you what to write in there or how it should be written, but I do think having a two-step process for this is good. Because it's good for both sides, right? Whether somebody believes in their heart they're doing it for the right reasons and has been convinced of such, it's just good to have some oversight for this particular item, in my opinion. This is just me sitting here.
I see what you're saying, Pat. I think the only thing is, maybe it's you're going to figure out what you do with it, but it's Allison has the ability to like review at certain points, right? Or it's known to the employee that policy will be reviewed by the executive director. Because the point is you're trying to put trust in the department heads, and I see you're saying it could put them in an awkward position, but it seems like if people are asking all the time, that shouldn't have to be sitting queued up for
But
Allison.
for oversight, it doesn't have to be that goes to the department head and then goes to Allison for sign-off.
That's what I don't-
I could see a quarterly review
Yeah.
of all the folks who had telework during that last quarter or are applying for it for the next quarter or whatever. That kind of oversight can satisfy, I believe, what you're talking about as far as not putting somebody in an uncomfortable situation if it's done before that. But I don't, because if it's just going to go to Allison after the department head, why even bother with the department head? Just write it up and put it on her desk. I mean, that's the way the policy is today. So if we're going to ask Allison to approve it all like it is today, then just take that out.
Well, the department head is responsible for the rationale as to why a particular employee has the right and why it's in the benefit of the park district to be at telework, whether it's, a temporary thing or a permanent thing. What I'm saying is, and I'm sitting in this chair, and I guess I'm drawing on my history, that while we love everyone here and we trust everyone here, there are times when things happen, and they have happened, right? They have. There's a lot of executive session stuff that has been conversed here in my tenure that are still being held because they're personnel based, where things don't go the way the policy had it written. And all I'm saying is, if we truly want to be a distinguished agency and we want to look at and have, representation when we do audits and we're dealing with financial information, this is essentially tangential to that. So I think that this item, and I'm not being so, I don't want to start banging on the table. I'm not going to die on this hill. I think you need to think about a structure that provides some oversight to this, is all I'm saying. I don't care what the process is, but I think it's important for you as a team to do it and for it to be in place and everybody to know, both department head, employee, as well as the leadership in the organization, that there is a process in place. So, you want Dirk's advice? I'm sure he'd be happy to.
Actually, the policy came from Dirk's office.
Yeah, it's a fine line to walk between giving out the authority and decentralizing some of the decision making. And to Pat's point, that we recall, wasn't, not since Allison's been at the time, but there were silos, remember? And so why are the rec people treated better than the park people? Rec people get benefits, the park people don't. This is one of those areas. So not telework your way into maintaining the park. And so that's the management challenge, but that's, I think maybe the idea of building in a quarterly review is really doesn't have to be part of the policy. That would be, the expectations you have if you are one employee, your executive director. That might be the solution.
Again, I don't have a solution for you. I'm just telling you, I think it's necessary.
That way, we avoid everybody's subject to Allison's management, even though the director is the decision.
That's my only comment. Anyone else?
I'll put in my 2 cents.
Okay, so this will be a first reading this evening, and you'll bring this back. So if you aren't going to write it into the policy, I would at least like the board to be aware of what you've decided in terms of how this would work, even if it is just a quarterly,
The procedure, really, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You might just add a sentence under this, decision of the record will be quarterly with the executive director.
And I wonder if it could just go above where it talks about the telework request form, and you write it into the telework
You
request
can put it
form.
anywhere
'cause
you want.
where you have that line in the form and actually where they're asking and requesting for it. That's
Do
reviewed.
the current job positions already say if they're eligible for telework or not?
No.
We've divided up, but really essential workers. Essential workers are the ones who can't, primarily facilities and parks, because.
We mirrored it off of COVID. So the telework policy was written after COVID, during COVID.
Yeah.
So frontline workers had to come into work still.
And I do want to assure the board too that I have not seen any abuse of telework at all. In fact, if anything,
Yeah.
people aren't using it when they could be,
Right.
you know, and they've got good reason to. So, you know, I can,
Well, even at the largest corporations in the world, there's many jobs that cannot telework. This is not exclusive just to
Right.
park districts and municipalities. So.
And I wouldn't say that the park districts, this is the forefront of moving forward with telework policy.
No.
The state level's been doing it for years, way before COVID, as well as other park districts are utilizing a telework policy, which even more so of a remote policy where they have distinct days that they're not coming into work, like Deerfield Park District, because they're doing it for more of the reducing your carbon footprint. So with the telework, I think we were thinking just operationally, it's easier for a department head to decide if somebody should be able to do that or not, instead of going to Allison and having that extra step.
The court can tell them all the time.
Because the state of Illinois is going to be, as a model, they're paralyzed. So many agencies, because they're not returning. They are not in the office. They are 100%. So even IDNR, and
IDPH, IDNR, it's a nightmare.
they're not back, and you can't get stuff done. So another reason to have a quarterly review about how it's done.
The court system is telework a good 60-70% of the time. So,
to this day.
yeah.
Thank you for hearing us out.
Yep.
Discussion item only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And the last but not least, flexible work schedule. This is something that we've discussed a few times. A few of you have brought it to my attention. So to actually introduce a flexible work schedule for the first reading, offering regular full-time employees that are eligible to work a flexible work schedule. Flexible work schedule will include either a 4 10-hour days with an option of Monday or Friday off, or a 9-day work period, which would be 7 9-hour days and 1 8-hour day with every other Friday off in the pay period. Flexible work schedules must be made to the employee's department head on an annual basis. We were thinking along the sides with your annual review, you'd request it, so it's not something you can go back and forth with. You request it. If it gets approved, you follow through throughout the year. And the department head will make the final decision regarding whether or not the employee is approved for the flexible work schedule.
So when I read this, I actually thought about what you thought about in the last one.
This
As far as,
one's-
this one seems like it needs a little bit more oversight than the other one, in my opinion. And one of the things is core working hours is, if you have, because I see this every day, is that when you say, okay, we're going to have these folks can work these different times, but you don't have enough people during a certain amount of time during that week that are all together for that, collaboration and things that are important like that, you're like, well, this is my off day. Well, you need to have, I think, a set core amount of days where everybody is working, whether that's telework or whatever, right? And then the oversight on this is, it's every other Friday, and then it becomes every Friday, and then it becomes, it's very easy to do. Like, we don't know what Friday it is. Well, we had Friday off, so I'm going to take this next Friday. I think that needs to be spelled out a little bit more clearly. What happens in situations where there's a holiday on a Friday, and that's supposed to be my day off anyway. So now I'm going to take the next one. So now I get 2 Fridays off in a row, because that's the way it was supposed to be anyways, to go back to my normal schedule. I think it could get very confusing and very easily, even if it's just innocently abused, it's very quick. It just can happen like within a month. All of a sudden, somebody's taking every Friday off. So I think we need to spell some things out a little bit deeper than just 2 paragraphs in here.
But really, another thing is we're trying to be competitive
I get it.
with what we offer.
Yeah, I'm not
Hence
saying
the
don't do
exit
it.
interviews
So, because if you're working a 4 10-hour days, you're putting in your 40 hours.
No, that's not
So
what
then
I'm
if you have
saying.
that Friday off, and then you have employees that are tenured here that we're forcing to take a vacation day every month, whether they want to or not, or they lose it. So we're already have these challenges where we have,
I'm not
employees
speaking
having to
really
take
of the
days off.
4-day work week, it's the 9-day work week. That can get confusing.
I do have a question. It's not, from my read on this, people are always working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I think in some ways that addresses your concern. Like, I've got to, my read of this is that you're always there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So if
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
do
yeah.
group meeting, and like, okay, Friday's not everybody's here, that's fine, but we're always, it's not like somebody's gone on a Tuesday. So it feels like that
Yeah, that's what I was talking
accommodates
about
that objection.
with core time, but it's really the 9 work
But
day
even
schedule.
that says
that-
Friday, you
that-
get a Friday off, not a Tuesday or a Thursday.
But if you're working 9 days and that Friday you're supposed to get off and it's a holiday, somebody's gonna think they got ripped off.
No, then you
Monday off.
adjust your hours on the holiday weeks, so if you're getting a holiday pay, then you revert back to 8 hours, just like you would on a
See,
4-day
I'm
work
already
week.
confused.
Yeah.
In this new
So
Paycor handle.
so let me
Yeah.
just
Okay. Hey,
get,
Paycor's
so
gotta
we
be
have
up.
both
Okay.
a telework policy and a flexible work policy.
We don't have a flexible work policy right now, but yeah.
I know, but we have both, and I'm just going to
Oh,
share
you
with
do.
you
I'm
our
sorry,
experience. So what seems to happen is there's this blend that starts happening where the people who need to be in working together on the same day aren't there on the same day, right? So it becomes more of a management train where you then have to manage, well, are those, so to John's point, if you have a core set of days where everybody crosses paths with all the people that they need to work with, it saves the management team from having to kind of shag after and make sure that people are in there the same day, that the work groups are working properly. So what I'm warning you about is adding this on top of the telework policy can create some challenges for you. And I will tell you that the private sector is reevaluating both of these policies as we're having this conversation. So, because we've lived through it now for 3 years, and we kind of see the pitfalls that have happened. There are great benefits to it, and probably more benefits for the employee than the employer. The employer is really retention, right?
Yeah.
Making sure people are happy,
Retention.
giving them some flexibility, making sure they're not driving in for the sake of driving in when there's something they could be doing from home, or making sure that they can actually be productive when they're here. But what we have seen is these every 4th week or every 3rd week, there's these weird weeks where, because of everybody's flexible work policy, they're no longer having a conversation with each other, so you get this loss. Because remember, this is a public agency, so these are tax dollars paying people, and we need to make sure that we don't end up like the state of Illinois, because that is, I'm telling you, abhorrent. It is absolutely a disgrace as to what's happening in Springfield for people not getting their jobs done because they're working remotely. And they're working slower, and there's no turnaround time, and something that took 6 months now takes 18 months to get done because somebody's working from home. So tell me that that's a public benefit. It's not. So I want to make sure that no one looks at this park district, that we've set up a policy that is not allowing this group that we have to work for the public that we work for.
So would it be helpful if I brought forth other park districts that are already doing this and have been doing it and found it successful? Because this is not new to the park district world.
No, and I'm not saying it is.
We're probably one of the few that don't have a
We're not saying
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying let's.
Structure.
Yes,
It needs
yes.
structure, and it needs limits, and it needs some backstops to make sure that it's not falling on your responsibility as HR or department head's responsibility, that there's some checks and balances, because, trust me, it's easy when 1 or 2 people do it, but when 10 or 12 people start doing it, it gets messy. I'm just warning you ahead of time.
Just to counterbalance you guys, I understand your points of time. I also work in an industry where I have flex time and the people work more than they should. Ever since I implemented you set your own hours, everyone who works in my industry is working more. Now, I'm in tech, it's different for everybody, so I'm not negating what you guys are saying. I agree with the oversight, but I just want to let it be known that I think the teleworking is really important, and I think you're going to find out the few people we have a problem with, it's obviously easier in the private sector to fire them, right? But you find out in a hurry who's taking advantage of it.
And Molly, I can tell you that it's exactly the same. The people that have teleworked are actually working more hours,
Yeah,
even
you can
harder.
you find that. Yeah, you find that. And
Yeah.
but the risk there is, and this is what we're finding where I work, is people are burning out
Yeah.
because their work-life
Right, you're
balance
saying-
goes right out the window.
I'm
When
all
all
in
of a
favor for
sudden,
more structure.
when they're like, I'm commuting,
Yeah.
for an hour, so I'm going to work an extra hour, that becomes 2, that becomes 2.5. And I've seen folks who are working like 12-hour days, and they are burnt. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, now
Then
your
you lose the
productivity goes
motivation
straight
to
down. And it's very difficult. I'm just saying, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying I think it needs more meat than just a paragraph and a half in here for outlining, to Pat's point, structure, because I don't necessarily see structure in just saying that we're going to have it.
Sure, and I do appreciate the points made, because, you know, right now everything is comp time, so people work over the 8 hours, then they get comp time. So this would, you know, and that's always fun to track, you know. But this would actually be the better alternative, I think. And I would be happy to work with Lynn on creating structure, which would be more procedural. So I don't know if you want the procedure in the policy. We try to usually separate the procedure from the policy.
Well, if the policy supports the procedure, then I think we need to see the procedure, not to adopt it or approve it, in order for us to understand how it's going to be administered.
Yep, I'll be happy to work with Lynn on that.
And I'll say this is the last thing I'm going to say on this, all right? I think it's a good idea. It's great when you have good people working for you. When you get the first bad egg, it's problematic,
Yeah.
and it becomes systemic. So that's all I'm cautioning. So to having more structure ahead of the implementation eliminates the challenges when you have someone who is, you know, taking advantage of it or creating an issue for everyone else who's, you know, obviously doing a great job, working hard. I mean, we have great people that work here. This isn't to make it more onerous. This is to give structure to it so that nobody gets sideways with this. And if we get a bad egg, it's almost self-correcting, because the staff who really like the policy and want to keep it can keep those other people in line.
It's not even about it's the mission of the park district is different in this sense. You have to be open and delivering services when everybody else is off, right? So take parent-teacher conferences. Everybody's got their kids not in school, they're looking to put them somewhere, and some people take their kids and go out of town for a long weekend or do whatever. Other people who are looking to you at that time, and if you've got employees who also have kids, and they're gaming the system, and they do, I mean, you can say, okay, boomer, but they do, they game the system. That's where all of a sudden you don't have enough people to deliver the services when they're most looked to for you here. Because they've got their Friday, their parent-teacher conferences already scheduled. Now you don't have enough people to run open gym, or whatever else people are looking for.
Those people aren't doing telework though.
No, this is separate. We're talking about the flex time.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the challenge, is we need to be open when other people are all looking to be gone. And that's why structure has been an important part. That you need to, that's what you gotta be worried about. It's not so much people looking for paid time off, it's they want the time off when everybody else is busy. And that's when they're busy in this mission.
Would you like any other feedback?
No, thanks. I'm good. I've had my full.
Thank you. Discussion.
I thought this was going to be a fast board.
Yeah, you said that.
I know.
That's the jinx.
We're speaking as
You know, there's really two things we do, right? One is pay bills, the other is stuff like this, right? So you have a group of people here who have diverse opinions, and I think it's healthy because it makes for a better policy.
Absolutely. You just see us fight a little bit.
Yes, it's good.
I'll be happy to work with Lynn on this.
Excellent.
Procedure.
Great job. Great conversation.
We just talked this through.
All right. Next item on the agenda is 11E, the award of the contract for the abatement at 150 Houston Street property. I have some things to say, so let's get it on the docket here. So entertain a motion to award the contract for abatement of the 150 Houston Street property to Kinsale Contracting Group in the amount of $98,900.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. Any discussion?
You have discussion.
I do. Is this house covered in asbestos, like from the foundation to the roof? I mean, do we have roof shingles? Do we have masonite siding? What's?
This was a 150 Houston building. So,
Understand?
Yep. So it's tiled or sealed tiles, mastic. The spray plaster that they put on the whole first floor has to be removed.
So does this include restoration or just removal?
Just removal.
So this is containment, removal, and left in place,
Correct.
left clean,
Correct.
to be picked up then by the construction?
By the construction,
So is
yeah.
this all of the asbestos for that entire building that to be done?
Yes,
Okay.
And we're looking at doing it like,
mid-November.
yeah.
Did we know this was there?
DHCD would move.
Yeah, we
When we looked at the
We did
building?
not know right away, no.
I did,
Yeah, I mean. it
when I
was-
walked through the building. I mean, I knew we had asbestos.
No, but I,
We didn't know, we didn't know. the-
no, I get that, but I,
Yeah.
like, when we bought one of the houses on the river, we went in and we figured out there wasn't any, so we could factor
Yeah.
that in, but I did not know that we had this much asbestos.
I would
Now,
argue-
it wouldn't have, not necessarily wouldn't have changed anything, but I would have liked to have known that.
Well, I guess when we decided to renovate to the level we're renovating, that's what triggered this.
Got it,
Right.
okay.
So there, you can leave asbestos in place, you can maintain it, you
As long
can.
as you don't tear it up.
It was in
Right,
the
right.
disclosures when we bought 150 Houston, but that
Oh, what?
it was in front of it, so it wasn't,
Oh.
didn't require
Right.
remediation.
Okay, okay.
But we can't touch it
Now,
to demo.
I just didn't know if this was a non-budgeted item, or if this was like, because it was like, ooh, we didn't know this was there, so we're gonna have to come
It's
out
in the
of the
TID
pocket.
fund, it's in the
Yeah,
capital.
Just making sure.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, and then Batavia Access Television, we're gonna have to move them here to the Civic Center during that time.
Oh, okay.
And actually all for next year too, because we'll be doing construction.
Yep, and that's why we chose mid-November, give them, as much time as we
Yep.
can in there, and then it gets us closer to construction too, so.
I've worked with Kinsale for the past 25 years. They're an outstanding company, so they do great work. So I have no reservations on that. Okay, any
You're
further,
gonna separate the live sign when we bring this up?
any further discussion?
I mean, I can we talk about that. when we bring
Any other comments?
the ATV
Anyone?
in this building. These guys need to be followed.
Yeah, they heard Wi-Fi.
Let's call the roll.
All right, Tillman.
Aye.
Gray. Aye. Riley.
Aye.
Henley.
Aye.
Callahan.
All right, motion carries. Last item on the agenda is 11F, the award of contract for prescribed burn services.
There's a lot to talk about on this one. You would have an opinion.
Oh, you really teed that one up.
I got a lot of opinions on this.
Ken's ears are burning.
Josh, is it okay? I'm good.
So I would entertain a motion to award the contract for the prescribed burn services to Blue Stem Ecological Services in the amount of $30,540.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. Any comments? Well, all I will say is this is actually healthy for the environment. This is recommended by DNR, and we do this quite often.
I will say the only complaint I've ever heard is when I was going door to door getting signatures, one woman who lives right behind a burn said, "What happens to all the animals when we burn this?" And I go, "Well, they run away."
And they come back.
And then they come back, and she's like, "Are you sure?" I'll ask them next time I'm there. I'll ask them.
We know the rabbits get away. I mean,
So where, the Savannah, where are we burning?
Places.
Yeah, do you have the list?
Page 15, it shows them all.
I didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the
Didn't
four
drill that.
major, it's,
No, it's right here. Fiddler Farm, Hawks Bluff, South Mill Creek, Prairie Path,
I got a number.
Prairie Latham, Pingwoods, Laurelwood, Kingstrut, West Main, Memorial, Big Woods, and Woodland Hill Park.
there we go.
Not Rayburn?
Geneva.
Oh, Geneva does that.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Normally Kim's World, sorry.
No, no, yeah, Geneva,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know
Wow,
if we did it or
this is a
Geneva.
very reasonable price.
It's a lot.
Probably the only thing in the contracting world today that's reasonable.
Yeah, she was happy with this.
So it's easy to do. Hurry up! Just throw a match in there and you're done.
She said we
Danger and
just
trouble.
use
Look at matches.
Pass too. Yeah.
Yeah, book of matches and call right over.
Exactly.
All right, do you want me to take the roll?
Please.
All right, Tillman.
Aye.
Greg. Aye. Riley.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye, motion carries. That concludes our business this evening.
Actually, there is other business to come before the board. So,
Did you forget matters from commissioners?
no, that was.
That was the last time I forgot.
But I do have some stuff I want to talk about. So,
Do you want to take the president's chair here?
just sit there and talk. So I have been on the board since, I believe, 2009 with you.
You have?
14, 15 years. And I need to talk about your leadership a bit here and your commitment to the board for 25 plus years. I'm about ready to say some things that we could not have been done without staff, so I'm putting that out there. But during your leadership in the economic downturn of 2009, 2010, we were the only elected body, taxpaying body, to stay in the black through that whole period. Through your leadership, we managed to preserve a town treasure, being the quarry. Underneath your leadership, we even implemented most of a benefactor's massive project on the east side of the river. And finally, not necessarily finally, but another big thing is we actually even brought in a new brick and mortar facility for expansion of the Depot Museum and programming and offices. All of that without a referendum to the taxpayers to increase taxes. So it is with great honor and respect that I entertain a motion to approve Resolution 291 commemorating Park Commissioner and President Patrick J. Callahan for his 25 years of dedicated service to the Batavia Park District and naming the community center at 150 Houston as the Patrick J. Callahan. Please call, can you please call the roll? Motion by Gray, second by Connolly.
Oh, motion by Gray.
Yeah, motion by Gray, second by Connolly. Got to get it right.
Mixing it up.
Gray.
Yes, aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Riley.
Aye.
Tillman.
Aye. Motion carries.
You did surprise me. I don't even, and you know me, I'm a man of very few words.
You got nothing.
Speak on your behalf.
Should we go back to?
No.
Should we go back to?
I actually think Chris thought that I was having an affair for 25 years because, coming to these meetings every month and then the ones in between. No, this is really an honor. I appreciate it very much.
Well, you deserve it, my friend. It has been a pleasure.
We've got the CC and now the CCC. Or you have the
I mean, it has been my honor to be of service to this community. And it's really important that people remember that it's important to give back to your community. And you didn't do that.
It was all of our pleasure.
Yeah.
And your family kept a secret.
Good job.
That's
You didn't accidentally see the slide come up? You didn't see the slide accidentally come up?
I didn't.
Yeah, it did, yeah. I was like, oh, man. I was like, hi, T, get up here. But your head was down.
Scared of Allison until she threatened me about this. You better see it, open
Well, the good thing is that the entire board knew about it, and even if you didn't want it, you were going to get outvoted anyway. So it was going to happen.
And the board knew about it. The board, we started talking about this a while back. So they knew this is what, unanimous.
Well, it's a pleasure to have my family here tonight because when I started... Caitlin's on FaceTime. Hi, Caitlin.
There you go. Awesome.
When I started on the park board, I had no children.
Right.
And so they are all products of the Batavia Park District. So...
Would you like to telework?
You can't telework as a lifeguard, because one of them is lifeguards.
Sean was a lifeguard, yes?
Okay, so now-
Want to read the resolution?
I don't have the entire resolution. Well, I guess,
I like your thinking.
Irish flag. Irish flag.
do you have,
It will be.
do you want a copy of the resolution?
Sure.
You can send it.
You sent it to me.
We can send them a copy of the resolution.
Okay.
But now there's no more business.
Now there's no
Ah, yes.
That's it.
Very good.
So now we can no longer call it 150 Houston Street property. It's the Callahan Community Center.
CCC.
Thank you very much. It means a lot.
PCQ.
So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
You know what? It's covered.
We have,
Before we adjourn.
Oh my gosh, it says the same like 1,000 times.
Yeah, man.
it's right here if you want to.
Train.
No, there's a lot of good stuff in there. You shouldn't have to read that.
Oh, you want me to read this whole thing?
TV's still rolling.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, resolution number 291, resolution commemorating Park Commissioner and President Patrick J. Callahan's 25 years of dedicated service to the Batavia Park District and naming the community center as the Patrick J. Callahan Community Center. Whereas, that's gonna kill me.
Whereas, a lot of whereas.
Whereas the Board of Park Commissioners recognize the value of park commissioners that serve as volunteers to the Batavia Park District and Batavia community for extended periods of time. And whereas the Board of Park Commissioners appreciate the contributions, dedication, and sacrifices park commissioners provide to improve the quality of life for the citizens of Batavia Park District through Parks and Recreation. And whereas Patrick J. Callahan was elected by the residents of Batavia Park District to the Board of Park Commissioners for a full 6-year term on March 17, 1998. And whereas Patrick J. Callahan was sworn to the oath of office on 19th day of May, 1998. Whereas Patrick J. Callahan was appointed by the Board of Park Commissioners and honorably served as the Park Board's liaison and various committees to include but not limited to the Friends of the Riverwalk, Land Commission, and Peace on Earth Bridge Committees, served as the Board Vice President from 2002 to 2005 and as President from 2005 to 2023. And whereas Patrick J. Callahan also served the community in other capacities, serving as a Batavia Youth football coach, Batavia Youth basketball coach, a photographer for the Batavia High School football team. I didn't invent that. A photographer for the Batavia High School soccer team, a volunteer for the Batavia High School theater program, a volunteer for Career Day at A.C. Storm Elementary School, a guest chef at the Batavia High School cooking class. Well, that I would expect. And an instructor for religious education at Holy Cross Catholic Church. And whereas Patrick J. Callahan supported partnerships with the Batavia civic organizations such as the Batavia Parks Foundation, Batavia Historical Society, Batavia Youth Baseball, and other civic community groups to provide Batavia community special events and programming, especially the annual Windmill City Festival. And whereas Patrick J. Callahan was a true advocate of the Fox Valley Special Recreation Association to provide recreational opportunities for individuals with special needs, and whereas Patrick J. Callahan was a strong advocate for the advancement of the Batavia Park District through the development and improvement of parks, programs, services, and facilities in the fiscal responsible manner, which included all of Batavia's award-winning flagship parks and facilities consisting of Batavia Riverwalk, Peg Bond Center, Harold Hall Quarry Beach, and West Main Community Park. And whereas Patrick J. Callahan was a fervent advocate for the preservation of open space and park and recreational purposes, securing an additional 200+ acres, most notably the land acquisition of numerous neighborhoods and community parks and natural open space areas throughout the Batavia community, bringing the total owned and managed acres to approximately 400 acres. I got it. It's only another couple pages here. If it was only 10 years, it would only be 25 years to get 4 pages.
Keep going.
Whereas Patrick J. Callahan's advocacy was instrumental in an alliance with the fellow board members in striving to develop a neighborhood park within walking distance of every residence, which included the planning and development. And whereas Patrick J. Callahan's leadership mantra to strive for excellence resulted in the district receiving numerous park and facility awards and recognitions, and whereas Commissioner Patrick J. Callahan's desire to do more with less by stretching the local taxpayer dollars to provide recreation programs, complete capital development and improvement projects, and securing in excess of $13 million in federal, state, and local grants during his term as Board of Park Commissioners. And whereas Patrick J. Callahan supported intergovernmental cooperation by negotiating and approving several intergovernmental agreements with other Batavia governmental agencies, and whereas Patrick J. Callahan's desire for the Batavia Park District to be a recreational leader in the state of Illinois earned the district the coveted IAPD-IPRA Joint Distinguished Parks and Recreation Agency Accreditation Award from 1998 through present, and whereas Patrick J. Callahan selflessly and honorably served on the Board of Park Commissioners and the Batavia Park District, Kane County, Illinois, for 25 years, and whereas Patrick J. Callahan's enthusiasm for the parks and recreation was infectious and instrumental in guiding his fellow park commissioners and staff in a strategic and progressive direction, and to provide superior parks facilities and programs during the highest growth period of the district's 54 years of existence. And whereas said Board of Park Commissioners desires to forever recognize and celebrate Patrick J. Callahan's unselfish dedication to service to the Batavia Park District in the years since his becoming a park commissioner. Now, therefore, be it resolved. Hold on, there's still 3 paragraphs. Resolved that the Board of Park Commissioners of the Batavia Park District honor Patrick J. Callahan for his expertise, dedication, service, and commitment to the Batavia Park District and the Batavia community. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Batavia Park District of Kane County, Illinois, be and hereby directed to execute this resolution on the behalf of the Batavia Park District Board of Park Commissioners, and as follows. Section 1. There's 37 sections. Section 1. Patrick J. Callahan is hereby officially recognized for his 25 years of service as Park Commissioner to improve the quality of life through parks and recreation for the residents of Batavia. Section 2. The Board of Park Commissioners officially commemorates Patrick J. Callahan's selfless service to the Batavia community by officially dedicating and naming the community center located at 150 Houston Street, Batavia, Illinois, as the Patrick J. Callahan Community Center, dedicated the 21st day of March 2023, and adopted this 21st day of March by the Board of Commissioners and the Batavia Park District on a roll call vote as follows.
Oh, I thought we did.
You have all that time to get ready.
All right, we already did it. Yeah, we did it.
Yes, we already did it, but there you go.
Thank you. Thank you. I got you.
Yeah. You don't have it memorized?
No. Thank you all very much. I'll have more to say next month when I can collect myself.
Okay.
So I will call us adjourned.
Oh, yeah, how would
Quick?
No, that's good.
We're good. We're adjourned. So, seconded.